I really don't have to think too hard about the opening for this week's version of the Monday morning financial expectations video, because all eyes will be riveted to just three events over 2 days, Tuesday and Wednesday. And while these events matter to everyday life, they do impact everything that we do. Inflation, of course, does, and interest rates do. They would also potentially dramatically affect the market and also Tesla. Hi, this is Randy Kirk. If you like this Sunday night video that I put out each week that talks about Monday morning and the week ahead in terms of what's happening in the financial markets, what's happening in terms of reports that come out, government reports and other kinds of reports, who's reporting in terms of companies that are important. If you like this particular piece of this particular episode, please hit the like button, hit subscribe and notify. I'll talk at the very end about what's coming up this week in terms of episodes that you're going to want to see. I promise you're going to want to see these episodes. These are my top. These are always the number one in terms of your interest. So at the end, I'll talk about what's coming up this week. And then, of course, Patreon. All right. Well, Monday will have its own drama because on Monday, Tesla could hit the record for the most green days in a row. I mean, could be a 12th straight day in terms of gains on the stock market. It's never happened before. They've had 11, and they've had bigger increase, a very substantially bigger increase at one point with a 9-day, I think, increase. But this is a very significant increase over a very short period of time, and it could continue on Monday. So what do I think is going to happen on Monday? Do I think we'll hit the 12 days? Well, let's take a look at what I think might impact that. Number one, there really wasn't any bad news, at least not yet. I'm recording this at, let's see, at 4 o'clock New York time. Of course, it's really 10 o'clock Hawaii time on Sunday. As so far, there's been no really bad news about Tesla all weekend. The only thing that came close, and I don't think anybody even noticed it, so I'm going to whisper it in your ear, is that the Mexico groundbreaking is still 12 to 15 weeks off. That was promised June 1. Now they're saying 12 to 15 weeks. That isn't great, but don't tell anybody. I don't think that'll impact the market for Tesla on Monday anyway, but I'm not very happy with that announcement. All right, number two, there was also not particularly any good news over the weekend either. Nothing to really create another moment. There was some decent news coming out about FSD. Elon said the improvements are accelerating, and then he was asked when is he going to do his coast-to-coast trip on FSD with no interruptions, and he said soon. So, those are, that's all good. There's quite a number of videos out showing the new 0.4 release, and those videos seem to be good, but I don't think any of them are going to be moving markets. So as of this moment, any upward movement on Monday in Tesla stock is going to have to come from the leftover steam from all the amazing news the last 3 weeks. And that could happen. It's entirely possible. In fact, I've mentioned before, there is no barrier. There is nothing stopping Tesla technically from getting to 300. It's just it's an open road all the way to 300, and it could even break through 300. I think there'll be a huge amount of resistance at 300. Probably once it gets around 300, we could see maybe a 10%, 15, 20% drop back into the mid 250s. But for now, I think we're going to probably stall unless there's some really great news. What does that mean for Monday? Could go up, could go down. I think it'll open lower. This is me, and I don't even have the benefit of the pre-market information yet because that's still not going to come out for another couple of hours. I think the market will be stalling tomorrow, maybe a little down, a little sell-off at the beginning, a little profit taking. I think Tesla will be part of that. There'll be some profit taking, could be down, 5-6 points. And then I think it'll inch its way back up and maybe get back into the green just for fun. In other words, there might be people actually putting money into Tesla tomorrow just to get it to break the record. Believe it or not, that happens. There's people out there with that kind of money hanging around. But anyway, that's kind of where I think we'll end up, maybe close to break even on Monday. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, that'll be all dependent on the CPI, the PPI, and the Fed. And that's where we turn our attention next. So what is going to happen? Well, the CPI comes out on Tuesday. The street believes that the headline CPI will only go up 0.1%. That's great. And then that would be roughly a 4% year over year. That's fantastic too. I think it's actually do better than that. We'll talk about that in a minute. That should be good enough for the Fed to go ahead with their plan to pause. On the other hand, core CPI, which takes out the volatile food and energy numbers, the folks that make these predictions are predicting that's still going to be at 0.4% with a year over year of 5.3%. Well, that's not nearly so good. I'm actually expecting the numbers on both of these to be lower, and I'm going to show you why in a minute. But moreover, the food and energy portion of this report has been anything but volatile. It has been straight down. It has been just going straight down with almost no little upticks along the way. And why is that? Because the food and energy sector, in fact, almost all the sectors, are really just being affected by this COVID disruption in the supply chains when things were shut down and whatnot, and we got into this boom bust situation. That's what was going on the last 3 years, and what we're seeing now is a return to normal. So I'm going to show you in a minute. Almost all the commodities are down. We'll take a look at that. I'm going to say headline CPI at 0.1 makes sense. Might be even a little better than that, with the year over year coming in closer to 3.4%. I think the core will be at 0.4 or less. I think it could even be down. I'm saying could be as low as 0.33 with the year over year under 5%. Well, if that happens, if I'm right, actually, even if it's what the street is estimating, the market is going to be joyous and all boats will rise on Tuesday, even Tesla. If I'm right, they'll even be happier. But if it's just around the number the street is predicting, everybody will be great. The Fed will be happy. They won't rise. They'll give a dovish report. They'll suggest that they're not going to rise again in July either, although 33% of the Bloomberg survey, people surveyed in the economists, they surveyed the economists. They asked, what do you think the Fed's going to do in June? Well, they're saying no rise in June. What do you think the Fed's going to do in July? 33% of them said, we think that there will be a 25 basis point rise in July. Well, that's pretty good. I mean, that would suggest probably we're not going to have an increase in July. And if the PPI and if the CPI comes in, as I mentioned, I think that's probably a certainty. Well, then on Wednesday morning, the PPI comes in, and the market, or the people who they survey, think this will be at negative 0.1. So these are the folks. These are the producers. In other words, the manufacturers, wholesalers, and retailers. Producers are saying that that they're paying 0.1% less than they were last month. That would be a very good number, and it could even be less than that. It could be 0.3 less, and I'll show you why. So let's go ahead and let's share my screen, and let's take a look at why I have been coming in with these suggested numbers as being better. So here is Truflation again. You know that I love Truflation. Truflation is saying that the current inflation rate is 2.77%, and it went down. I mean, it's been going down, down, down. They're saying that it was down 0.01 just overnight. So these guys measure. If you haven't seen my video on Truflation, you need to go back and take a look at it. You should be looking at this thing at least once a week just to see where things are going. But look at that chart. Aren't you glad that's not Tesla's stock price right now? So we were up at 12% on a daily basis. It's a year over year, of course, but on a daily basis. And that's how Truflation does it. They check it every single day. And it's just been straight down. You can just see it's just straight down all the way down. Okay. And we've been down, 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 even here at the very end. If you go back 2 months, which is basically what the CPI right now and the PPI are going to be measuring, it's about 2 months ago, they're saying that the inflation rate was around 4% year over year at that time. And then it quickly dropped, as you can see here, to under 4%. So that's how I'm kind of basing my numbers, is that these numbers are 2 months old, month and a half old. So that's what we're going to see, is it's going to be 4%. The actual inflation rate, taking into consideration the Fed's basket, is around 3.9%. If you go down here, I did a big long video on this a while back, but you see they take it category by category. So you can see food and alcoholic beverages, down, 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 down. That's a major category. You can see the other categories are also listed, like housing. Housing is down, steadily down. Okay. You can go back, you can go through this yourself. truflation.com. I don't make any money for recommending this. Truflation.com. I just highly recommend you go there. Now, they got something new I want to show you right now, and that is they're now doing a commodities analysis. I'm hoping I can find it real quick here. Going into resources, I think it is. Whoops. Nuts. Where is their new commodities? Solutions, economic data. All right, so here we have a futures. Going to economic data, you got the futures. So you can see aluminum futures, live cattle futures, etc. You can go right in there really quickly, and you can see aluminum futures down, 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 down. Okay. You can go in, let's back out of that. Back out of the aluminum, go into live cattle. Actually, live cattle is one that's up. That's one of the very few that's up. You see live cattle futures are going up dramatically. I don't know if that matters to you, but that is the only exception to the rule. Gold and silver are kind of even. Let's go into some of the things like wheat and copper. Wheat, look at this, steady, steady down, big time. Go into copper, which is important to Tesla. Of course, everybody that does anything in electronics, copper is way, way down from its highs. Anyway, you can go do this yourself again. So this is where I get my information. This is where I am basing when I'm saying to you that I think the inflation rate is going to be this and such, thus and so. That's how I'm making some of my decisions. I have a lot of other things I'm looking at also, but that's a big place that I'm taking a look. All right, so highly recommend Truflation. Okay, here's what the so we've talked about CPI and PPI coming in. Then on Thursday, there's a huge list of reports. We have initial jobless claims. The street is saying 248,000 compared to 261,000 last week. So jobless claims are flat according to them. I wouldn't put a lot of stock in this unless something really happens big time. So if you see those jobless claims jump like to 400,000 or something, or if they drop even more lower than 248, you can see some market action. The market wants this number. The market would be most thrilled if it stays around where it's saying around 248, 250, because that would suggest that that employment numbers are steady, that the economy is steady Eddie, that they would like that, especially given that the Fed is about to pause. U.S. retail sales, they're suggesting retail sales will be down 0.1%. And then with retail minus auto up 0.1%. This is compared to up 0.4 on both of those last month. Again, the market will probably be okay with this. It'll be okay if it's up a little. But if it's down a lot, that could be a signal that the economy is getting into more trouble than the market would like. You could see some kind of a sell-off because of that. Import price index, I'm not that concerned with that. Empire State Manufacturing Survey, this is big, showing down 16% on manufacturing in the eastern region, East Coast region. That's a big number, and it was down 31% last month. These are year-over-year figures. You can see that the Philadelphia Fed Manufacturing Survey also was down 10% last month. This is not good. These would be numbers that could cause the overall market to say, what's going on here? Now, maybe it's more East Coast issue. We'll see later. Industrial, here we got industrial production coming in. That's suggesting some increase, 0.1% increase compared to 0.5 last month, though. So slowing down again. But what will these numbers really be? Check them out as the week goes by. These could be hints to you as to where things are going. Capacity utilizations, they think it'll stay around 80%. That's a good number. It would be better around 85, but 80% is good. And business inventories suggesting those are going to go up 2% after going down 0.2% after going down. That's pretty even. Those numbers are not going to move markets. See, now again, if business inventories shoot up, yeah, that means there's something wrong with the economy, and the market might say, wait a minute, we might have gotten out ahead of our skis here. So watch out for those kinds of things. Consumer sentiment suggesting it's going to get a little better. That'll be on Friday. Yeah, we want consumer sentiment to get much better. I think consumer sentiment is bad because most people think that they are not able to pay their bills on time. They think that they're having trouble by having too much credit extended. So right now, consumer sentiment's not great. If we get a couple of months of pause, if people still don't see any chance they're going to lose their job, if people can kind of get their bills straightened out to where they're not seeing so much inflation that's messing up their ability to pay, I think this consumer sentiment will rise, and then retail might start to pick up a little bit. All right. So this is a super exciting week this week. Plenty of excitement coming on the videos on this channel. I've already done a couple of projection videos. I don't know if you've taken a look at those. I did one on energy. I did one on the overall market for BEV cars with the top 22 car manufacturers, how much they sold in 2023, and what I project they will do all the way through 2027, when I think the ICE age will be over and it'll be all BEVs. We have one coming on energy, one coming on superchargers. I can't remember which ones I've already posted yet and which ones still need to be posted. But anyway, energy was this morning, Sunday morning. So if you haven't seen the energy one, that was this morning. We'll have one coming up on semi trucks. We'll have one coming up on Optimus robots. Anyway, there'll be all these individual sections that we'll be dealing with in terms of my projections of sales, revenues, profit margins, and ultimately profits, and how it affects the share price. And then I'll put it all together with one grand finale. Well, actually, there's going to be two, but I'm gonna not tell you about the one. It's gonna be a surprise. But we'll have a grand finale that'll show you what's happening all the way through the rest of 23, and all the way through the end of 24, quarter by quarter, and what the share price looks like. What will my conclusions be? Well, you already know, if you follow the channel, that I think we'll be over 300 now in 2023. I think we'll be hitting 400 in early 2024 and 700 by the end of 2024. I will show you all of that in that finale. And then I'll also, anyway, I'm not going to tell you that other thing. So you want to hit subscribe and notify, because you want to be notified of all these upcoming episodes. I've got a couple of interviews coming up next week that you're not going to want to miss. So hit notify, and then all of these charts that I'm doing, all of these spreadsheets are all on Google Docs, and I am putting them up on Patreon as fast as I produce them. So if you join Patreon, it's only $5 a month. And right now there's a free 7-day trial, so you can go look at them for free. All of the charts are going to be up on Patreon, where you can go in and copy them or do whatever you want. So you might want to take a look at that. In the description below is where you can hit the link and go over to Patreon. So that's all I got for you on this Sunday evening. Be looking forward to talking to you tomorrow morning. On Monday morning, you may or may not know, I give the news that took place over the weekend, because nobody else talks about the news on Monday until the market closes. Well, what good is that going to do when the market's closed? So I give you the news on Monday morning at 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 West Coast time. You get the news from over the weekend that affects Tesla and affects the markets. So if you haven't hit notify for that, that's another one. You should, every Monday morning, you should be taking a look at that just before the markets open, so you can get some idea of what's going on out there that might affect the overall macro and Tesla. Anyway, hey, it's been great talking to you.